This is a landmark year, 2017. 1 year from now, 2018, and we will have people born in the year 2000 actually getting into the workforce. Now, I have been a part of multiple discussions with various people in corporate and colleges, with parents, and everybody says one thing, that this crowd, this young generation is very different. And I never really got to understand, what do you mean by a different workforce, a different set of people? I was a kid once too, and I grew up too. And so did everybody. So what's so different about this crowd? So over the last 2 years, I have been doing a lot of research and really trying to understand what is the big difference between people of this generation vis-a-vis that generation. Now, for the sake of this discussion, let's assume that 2000, the year 2000, was the cutting point. Now, to me, there are two kinds of people. One, people born before the year 2000, and one born after. Now, let's really try and understand what the difference between these two is. Before the year 2000, if you notice one thing, knowledge was scarce. People really found it difficult getting knowledge. Now, if you were born in a family of carpenters, for example, it was very easy for you to pick up carpentry as a trade. If you were born in a family of musicians, you found it very easy. Or if you had the resources, you could easily pay money to get that knowledge. Or if you had a lot of marks in school, you automatically went and got it. But if you realize, this was a very select few. The second thing, if you notice, that people with very limited knowledge were actually very successful. So knowledge, and therefore I think the proverb which said knowledge is power. Now, if you look at the second part, the people born after the year 2000, if you notice something, that knowledge is available in plenty. You really don't need to have money to learn to play the guitar, or you really don't need to have money or go to a fancy college to learn software engineering. For that matter, you could learn anything just by sitting at home. So people who had knowledge are no longer relevant. People with knowledge are no longer important. Then what is important? Now, about 2 years back, I was sitting in the Bangalore airport, and one young boy walked up to me and he told me, out of the blue, he walked up and he told me, he said, "Abraham, thank you so much for inspiring me. And I'm now an artist and I'm not an engineer." And for some reason, that struck a chord with me. And then I realized, it is not knowledge that is important in today's world. It is not knowledge that is important to today's young people, but it is to inspire them. So if you and I, or anybody in the fraternity of learning, whether you are a corporate trainer, or you're a parent, or you're a professor, or anybody, if you are going to harp about the kind of knowledge that you have suddenly become irrelevant, because your job is not to give knowledge. Knowledge is available in plenty, but your job is to inspire. Secondly, what do I do with this knowledge? Teach me what I need to do with the knowledge, which is about application. So if you notice, the word know-how probably came from the fact that there is a knowledge part of it and there is a how part of it. The focus now is going to be, and the pressure is going to be, on how we teach people to apply the knowledge. So across the board, there's a huge challenge in terms of managing this generation. Is not about giving knowledge, but about inspiring and teaching people to how to apply. The second thing you'll notice about this generation is that every person is connected. Every person is either on one of those applications, whether it's WhatsApp or Facebook or any of the new age applications, which seem to sprout every second day. The second thing that these young people are looking, is connections, networking. So as an L&D professional, or as a person who's imparting knowledge, the second big thing that you have to do, and that you have to do and I have to do, is get people networked. So if you have 10 people sitting in a classroom, for example, suddenly your knowledge has no meaning, because knowledge is already available. In most classrooms today, as the teacher is teaching, people are already Googling. You have to now connect people with the right set of people so that they can interact and experiment. The third point that I really want to make today is about the individual and not collectively. Now let's take an example. When we were all studying, we had a syllabus, and in each syllabus for every topic, there was a clear book that was mentioned, maybe one, maybe two, or maximum three. So the professor or the person, whoever is teaching, could be relatively sure that the source of information is from these 2 or 3 books. Today, if you look at it, for anything, you have probably 1 million websites out there. The source of information is very different for each person, and therefore the interpretation of the knowledge is also equally different. And therefore, one size does not fit all. You cannot have a classroom of 20 people and expect everybody to learn in the same way, because each one of them is learning in a different way, because the source of information is very different. The source of inspiration for these people are very different. And if as an L&D professional, we are not able to understand and appreciate the fact that he or she is going to interpret that knowledge very differently from each other, is going to be catastrophic. The fourth point that I really think is going to make a big difference between that generation and this generation is the power of choices that you have. Knowledge is available in plenty, and so are opportunities and choices available to plenty. If people do not like what they hear, and I use this word very consciously, the word like, if they don't like what they hear and see, they are going to choose something else. Unfortunately, gone are the days when there are no choices. Plenty of choices. Within an organization or outside an organization, a young person today has choices which many of us didn't understand. And the last thing that I really want, which is very close to my heart, failure is becoming sexy. If you and I cannot encourage people to fail and to learn, that person is not going to thrive. And probably that's why you see the sudden enthusiasm and euphoria around all the startups that's happening. And all of us know what percentage of startups actually succeed. But none of these entrepreneurs are being considered bad or are shunned by society. In fact, they're being celebrated. These 5 points is what makes the millennial or the people born after 2000 very, very difficult to handle, or they're going to be a very exciting challenge to handle. Because if we are going to put these 4 things, or these 5 critical things into our learning design, I think we have a winner. And if you don't put this as a part of our learning design or part of anything to improve, then one big thing is going to change. Innovation might just come to a standstill. If you want people to innovate, then you need to inspire them. You need to connect them. You need to teach them how to fail. And most importantly, always remember, they have a better choice.